Good morning. I'm going to talk about Brexit, the uncivil war that aired on Channel 4 last night. And I did put some comments up at the time, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail this morning, especially about what I think it means for the future. If you want to go watch it, go do that. But meanwhile, this is Lydia News. What I think the show demonstrated really well was that Brexit wasn't an idea of the people, but of a small cabal of, shall we call them, older white men with a free market agenda, who stood a lot to gain from the UK leaving the EU because it would make them a lot of money. And what the Leave campaign did so well was to tap into a genuine feeling of disengagement and a need for change amongst so much of our society. The problem being that the change promised we could have achieved without leaving the EU, and in fact the change promised is less achievable by leaving. One of the themes of the programme was that Brexit was delivered by non-conventional politics, and Dominic Cummings' speech at the end of the programme suggested that non-conventional politics might have been better at delivering the change that people were looking for than the traditional structures that have ended up in this bizarre tangle we're in now. And while I would have died inside had Boris or Michael Gove become Prime Minister, as the Brexiteers that led us to this mess, I don't think it's unreasonable that they should have taken over the reins and led us to that land of milk and honey that they promised. I mean, if it had been a general election, that's what would have happened. Now, we can complain about the referendum as much as we like, but remember that Brexit was ratified by the 2017 election that returned a Tory government. I know it was marginal. I know that not a single party stood for remaining. However, that is the system we have, and that was the vote that was returned. Now, there are those out there that cannot sleep at night because they are so afraid of the terror that Brexit will bring them and their children. Now, the view I'm about to convey, I would say that some of my Brussels colleagues would absolutely disagree with me, but also quite a lot of them would agree with me. It's going to be okay. A Felixstowe fisherman called James White spoke very eruditely about Brexit, saying the reason that people are afraid is that they're not used to change. In the top echelons of government, in most industries, major change is unusual. In my industry, I deal with change on a daily basis, and I am not afraid. Whatever happens next, we have to be emotionally ready for major change. That is actually what Brexit promised to deliver us, whether we agreed with it or not. I don't think it'll be easy. I don't think it'll be cheap. I think there will be chaos and there will be disorder, but we will reach equilibrium. I said before that many architects of Brexit believe in free market economics, which is a very pure form of capitalism where you take away all boundaries, all regulation, everything, tariffs the lot, and you allow the market to act entirely of its own will. The criticism being that it brings about huge inequality. Another valid criticism of free market Brexiteers is they're looking everywhere else in the world for these trade deals, which we already have as members of the European Union, and we're also leaving the best free market in the world, which is the single market. So what more are they looking for? The one valid point I think they're making is that there will be enterprise opportunities that haven't existed before. As old doors close and new ones open, so some will lose, but others will win. And the Today programme actually had a rather interesting example a couple of weeks ago. They had two textile merchants on, one saying, I'm in a real dichotomy, I don't know what's going to happen with my product, whether my costs are going to go up, I just don't know what to do. And the other one saying, we've actually invested in new machinery, so we're going to weave our own fabric in the UK, and I'm looking to employ more people. I'm by no means saying Brexit is going to be a walk in the park, it won't be, but there will inevitably be winners and losers, and I feel that the government needs to identify those losers and put things in place to support them, and that's going to include the NHS and businesses through a rocky time. The EU will miss us, but I would also like to say that we weren't exemplary members of the EU when we were in it. We're like spoiled children at a birthday party. It's like, I don't want that, I don't like that. No, we want to do it our way, not your way, and we're going to be on our own and be really annoying. My husband, the Matelo's brief, when he was sent to Brussels by the government, was get everyone to do things our way, but don't join in anything and don't commit us to pay for anything, but just make sure that they do it our way, okay? That's a really unhelpful brief. If you think back to the post-war years, Britain was completely bankrupt. We only finished paying back the Americans for our World War II loans in 2006. The country was bomb-damaged, malnourished, and what did we come up with in that time? The welfare state and the NHS. I feel we wasted our opportunities in the EU, and I think that if we're going to have Brexit, that we need to not lose another opportunity. And I hope that whatever government and whatever stripe comes in next, it's going to clean the board and come up with something inspiring.